So let's welcome the second speaker, Xia Yang, who will introduce Wudang Kungfu.
Hi guys, can you hear me? My name is Xia Yang, and this is my project partner, Liu Xiayu. She worked with me. She worked with me through the whole project. So I'll begin our session. The subject for our session is Wudang Kungfu, or as we know it, as we say it in Chinese, Wudang Wushu. When it comes to Kung Fu, Hollywood films might be the first source of inspiration you draw from. I wonder what sort of impression this version of Wushu has made on you. Does it strike you as competitive, aggressive, or mostly entertaining? Nevertheless, I will present you with this school of martial arts that might be distinct from the one that you are familiar with. I hope it will give you a better understanding of martial arts. So, what is Wudang Kungfu? In order to understand that, we need to know something about its history. It was born in the Taoist temples in Wudang Mountain in the northwest part of Hubei, China. Originally, it draws inspiration from Taoism, when some Taoist monks integrated the Taoist elements of meditation into Wushu practice. Wudang Kungfu, as we know it, is therefore a blend of martial arts and Taoist philosophy. I'll give you several examples. The three most representative forms of Wudang Kungfu includes Tai Chi, which you might have heard of. It is a set of remarkably slow and possibly bewildering moves. The other two are Bagua Palm and Xingyi boxing. Tai Chi is usually interpreted as the great ultimate, and Bagua refers to the 8 diagrams, which are traditional Chinese cosmologic concepts, and Xingyi could be translated as form and meaning. Except for the three, Wudang Kungfu also covers plenty other methods of practice under different branches. As a result of its cultural origin, Wudang Kungfu is distinguished by the unique features of its fighting skills. Basically, its highly complicated forms and its devious use of strength. I will show you guys a video. This video delves into the two specific types of Wudang Kungfu, namely Longhua boxing and Xuanmen sword. Please enjoy it.
Longhua boxing is an important kind of internal Kung Fu, featuring a combination of slowness, fastness, gentleness, and robustness in harmony. Long, the symbol of Chinese culture, is imagined as a powerful and benevolent animal, dwelling in the water and roaming the skies, able to summon rain during a drought. In Taoism, the deities ride on them to fly between heaven and the earth. Legend has it that the Taoist deity Zhenwu has practiced Taoism among Wudang for 42 years. One day, in order to save a woman who jumped off the cliff, he jumped too. Suddenly, his body was lifted by 5 Chinese dragons, ascending to heaven. When the Tai Chi master Zhang Sanfeng practiced Taoism among Wudang, he dreamed of Taoist deity Zhenwu teaching him Kung Fu. Inspired by the legend of 5 Chinese dragons saved the Taoist deity, he created Longhua boxing. Chinese Kung Fu is famous for its Northern kicks and Southern fists. Longhua boxing, from Northern sect of Wudang, stresses the leg techniques. Its jump, kick, flipping leg, and interlinked leg techniques can do real harm to the opponents. When practicing Longhua boxing, one's hand shape looks like the long's claw. At the beginning, the movement is very slow. Suddenly, it becomes very powerful, like a long swimmer in the water. water. Then use the left hand to grip the opponent's wrist, and the right hand pushing his chest, lifting the left knee at the same time to move ahead so you can use your right leg to kick the opponent. This move is named as the green long comes out of the sea showing his claws. Then jump forward. This is the move of swimming long enjoying water. Black long swaying its tail is a move that is fast and nimble. It not only needs great leg techniques, but also the strength of the waist and the qi in the dantian to be aggressive. The move green long clutches at the throat requires one to start after the opponent and to contrive to reach him first to take him by the throat. Then the movement gradually slows down till it ends. Wudang Kungfu does not encourage using brute force. It emphasizes winning by skill and strategy, exerting one's subjective force so that the weak may defeat the strong. Longhua boxing applies the traditional wisdom of the art of war in practical combat, making a feint to the east but attacking the west, combining emptiness and solidness, acting according to circumstances, and turning the opponent's force against him are all applied in Longhua boxing. For example, the move swimming long enjoying water requires one to pretend to attack the head of the opponent while jumping forward. When the opponent is defending his head, attack his waist quickly. This is the so-called do the unexpected, attack the unprepared. According to Chen Shixing, one of the 15th generations of descendants of Wudang Sanfeng sect, Longhua boxing emphasizes the cultivation of internal strength. When it is gentle, it's like willows blown lightly by the breeze. Yet a sudden burst of energy is very robust. The softness and hardness, the slowness and the fastness are in stark contrast, and their combinations look beautiful and powerful. Besides boxing, Wudang Kungfu also comprises weapon manipulation arts, such as the play of Longhua sword, Xuanmen sword, Baxian cudgel, Chunqiu broadsword, and so on. Sword is an important symbol of Chinese culture, as well as the king of weapons in China. Ancient Chinese people tend to wear sword, which not only defends themselves, but also represents their heroic spirits. Sword is also crucial in Wudang weapons. It represents justice, because Taoist priests use it to beat the devil. It also shows that one has cut the ties with the secular world and is devoted to Taoism. A quick front kick and the downward thrust of the sword. This is the green long comes out of the sea. Turning back and building the sword up, remove the clouds to see the sun. A powerful horizontal step, single whip on the back. Raising the right leg back, bending down and threading the sword horizontally. Pick up the sun on the brink of the sky. Turning around and chopping backward with the sword. Fish for the moon in the ocean, and wave the whip in behind the horse. Kick the right leg skyward like a wild horse. Part the mane of the wild horse. Civet cat catches mice requires one to sweep the sword and then change to a crow-stick the crouching stance. White snake spits out its tongue. Stand up and thrust the sword horizontally. The Big Dipper directs the road. Stand on the right leg and hold the sword vertically. Wave the sword in the middle round. Hold the sword horizontally and walk backward stepping. Yaska explores the sea. Standing on the right leg, turning left and thrust the sword horizontally. The sword follows the movement of the body, like floating clouds and flowing water. Practicing internal Kung Fu, one needs to first enhance the suppleness, coordination, and strength of the body, and then focus on the movement until you can control the qi in the body and can get rid of distractions. The qi then sinks into Dantian, a center of qi, where essence and spirit are stored, and it begins to accumulate there so that it is cultivated. Internal Kung Fu not only enables people to better use their strength, but also works for the self-cultivation.
This video does present a very intriguing image of Wudang Kungfu. As we have said, it is distinguished by its highly complicated forms and its devious use of strength. It is, so to speak, a whole aggregate of paradoxes. For example, its moves could be both slow and fast, soft and hard, weak and powerful, elegant and brutal. It is so full of changes while maintaining such balance and calmness, and its forms are so subtle and full of implications. How do people achieve this level of accomplishment in martial arts? It is time to ask, how exactly can we cultivate the skill of martial arts? Theoretically speaking, the key to practicing Wudang Kungfu is to combine absolute strength with absolute relaxation. Well, in order to achieve that, the keywords again are balance and openness. I don't know how to explain it more clearly, but when you are in a state of balance and openness, you will be more responsive to whatever you are engaged with, both within and without. And you will be more capable of mastering yourself and detecting the opponents. Well, needless to say, this is very hard to achieve. Practitioners need to endure a very long period of cultivation and exercises so as to foster the supreme inner strength that is required for the maintenance of balance. The practice of Wudang Kungfu is not just for physical skillfulness. It goes far beyond that. Actually, many people have devoted their whole life toward that. And by practicing it, they finally get to find lifelong guidance and orientation. As the name indicates, martial arts do not exist for the sake of combat, but for the sake of itself. In Chinese culture, physical prowess is not channeled into confrontation and competition. Rather, martial arts is a process-oriented practice. It is a course of action that directs people to look inward upon themselves. It is a medium for introspection. The lifelong cultivation of martial arts is regarded as a means of forging supreme mental strength and establishing one's character. Therefore, any martial arts enthusiasts really need to get rid of vanity and focus inward upon their growth as a human being if they really want to grasp the art. Wudang Kungfu is actually a part of the bigger martial culture in China. In ancient China, there exists a type of heroes called Youxia. Youxia is commonly translated as knight errant, or less commonly as cavalier or adventurer. This honorific term represents the general admiration and worship for those practitioners of martial arts who used to resort to force to fight injustice and help people in trouble. While doing this, they think little of the prices they have to pay, even if it is their own life. Those people are generally regarded as a deterrent to unjust practice. Youxia and they represent the critical virtues that are related and later attributed to martial arts, like benevolence, trustworthiness, and righteousness, moral strength, are generally believed to be possessed by a true practitioner of martial arts. For them, the individual and the nation are closely linked together. They usually have a very strong concern for the people, the nation as a whole. Over the course of thousands of years, the influence of those martial morals has actually gone beyond the world of martial arts and reached the common people. It has gradually become a part of the ethnic and cultural consciousness in China. In ordinary life, this is usually manifested as a sense of outrage at injustice and a will to antagonize it, even in the most impossible situations. Like not only the master of martial arts dares to fight and dares to confront and fight, but even the most defenseless sort are ready enough to disregard life and fight for what they deem justice, what they deem right. This is what Confucius once said: courage entails compassion. A man of concern for others is invariably brave. And that's also how we perceive martial arts in China. Courage is the necessary consequence of moral strength, and therefore mightiness and formidability is nothing but the attribute of moral integrity, of the capacity for compassion, of concern for others. Thus, like we've said at the very beginning, the truth about martial arts is counterintuitive. I do like how the famous psychologist Jordan Peterson summarizes the philosophy of martial arts. He said, "We're not training you to fight. We're training you to be peaceful, awake, and avoid fights. But if you happen to get in one, well then, you know." The philosophy is also that if you're competent at fighting, that actually decreases the probability that you are going to have to fight. Because when someone pushes you, you'll be able to respond with confidence. And with any luck, this is certainly the case with bullies. With any luck, our reasonable show of confidence which is very much equivalent to the show of dominance, is going to be enough to make the bully back off. So the strength that you develop in your monstrousness is actually the best guarantee of peace. Well, this is the most important paradox of martial arts that I invite you guys to explore further. There are many counterintuitive knowledges when it comes to a different country, a different culture, or a different civilization. For thousands of years, Chinese culture has always been a peace-loving and virtue-honoring culture. The value of human being, of this life, of virtue is almost exclusively stressed upon in our most revered teachings. I believe that there is much more to it than we've covered today, which is worth knowing and thinking. Thank you, guys.